This episode contains discussions of child sexual abuse, domestic violence, and suicidal ideation. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
Welcome to Secrets of the Underworld. I am Neil the Muscle Cummins.
And in this episode, I speak with Bill Edgar, otherwise known as the Coffin Confessor.
Man in the coffin's got something to say, and this is what it is. You're no friend of mine. Sit down, shut up, or f*** off. You've been trying to screw my wife while I'm on my deathbed.
Thanks, Bill, for coming in. I was intrigued when it was actually someone reached out to me and said, you should get this person on your podcast. So when I'd done the checkup and look at you, I went, fucking hell. That's out there and a bit different, and especially what's been happening to you in your past and all like that, and what you've gone through. So it was a pretty intense story that you've got to share. That I was grateful that you found the time to come in on my podcast and share it with me. So I'm grateful for you to come in.
Oh no, look, I'm very thankful. Thankful you reached out, and it's people like you that enable people like us. We're not victims, we're survivors.
Yep.
To come forward and tell our story. Yep. And as unique as it is, it did, the Coffin Confessor basically did start from way back from when I was young. So it sort of enhanced me and made me who I am today and able to do what I do today.
All right. Well, what I'll do is, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to get to know you as a person growing up. So I'll go back to, you growing up as a child, school, family-wise, brothers and sisters, if you got them, and, how it all began.
Well, how it all began. Born in Broadmeadows, Broady boy, Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
Had the old man was Irish. He was known as the Irishman. He was one of the worst of the worst. He did what the underbelly couldn't, wouldn't, or were too scared to do. He worked for some very dubious people. Eddie Saffron, who owned part of King's Cross back in the day. The old man worked for him and looked after certain people and did certain things that landed him in jail and a few other places and dead, ultimately. How he died is up to speculation. For me personally, I think good riddance. I mean, he's a man that you didn't want around. For me, look, we were brought to the Gold Coast when I was, 4, something like that. On my seventh, I was about 7 years old. It was 7 years old. The night before my 8th birthday, I was attacked by my grandfather, who sexually, physically, and mentally abused me pretty bad. And that went on for quite a few years. And then...
How was the relationship before that, though, with him?
I don't know. I really don't know. I sort of, prior to being 7, I don't really recall anything. So I don't know if I was being abused then or whether I was triggered at the age of 8. So I'm not overly too sure. And it wasn't until later on in life, till I was in my teens, and that my mother and my aunt confessed to knowing that was going on for years, and that was the way for them to be able to stay in the family home, and for the only breadwinner, the grandfather at the time, to support the family.
So they knew about it?
Yeah.
And they let it go?
Yeah.
So that was your mother's father, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty horrific when I found that out.
How did you feel knowing that they knew about it? And
they're dead to me. So, it was, I guess at that time in my life, I was just about to, unbeknownst to me, I was just about to walk into Boggo Road Prison. At the age of 17, and they just told me just prior to that. So I was angry. I was ropeable. I was angry. I wanted to kill everybody and do what I could. And it was very hurtful, very hurtful. But at the same time, I didn't let it manifest. I have this ability to not let things go, but let things that happen create a better person within me, and I use it to empower myself like I did in jail. Everything that happened to me and what I did, I created an awesome person, really. I really did. I don't know how, I just have that ability to do that. So I never let anything of course, it kept me down and I was frustrated and that. And yes, I got angry, but at the same time, I found empowerment in a lot of the stuff, you know, and I do that today. You know, so...
Have you got any brothers and sisters?
I do. I don't know them. I haven't seen them in 30 years. So, you know, it was a case that there was crocodile tears 30 years ago.
Yeah.
There was... they were saying, one of them said that they got abused and then retracted that story. Another one said that, you know, it never happened and you're a liar. And I said, well, I've been called a liar my whole life about it.
Yeah.
You know. And that's just part of the process, you know. So I was never close to them anyway.
Yeah.
And I was always the outsider. And I think that's why, you know, the mother and aunt didn't really give a shit in a way.
Was your father still alive when this was happening? You don't know? You can't recall?
Yes, he would have been. I found out he died later on, but we weren't in contact or anything like that. And a funny story is actually, you know, I'll go back a bit first, is that when I got to 12 years of age, I won a scholarship to one of the most elite schools in Australia, right? A 5-year fully funded scholarship for sport.
Yeah.
I couldn't read, write or spell, but I could play sport.
Yeah.
I could do anything. You give me a bat ball, I was the best.
Yeah.
I was the ultimate. And unfortunately, some of the parents didn't like that because I wasn't a paid person. So they complain and they say, well, we're paying, you know, for our sons to go to this school. This kid just walks in on a scholarship and you're putting him in the best teams. Not going to happen. So I was sort of degraded and not allowed to play those sports because the school, you know, but they still gave me the scholarship and they allowed me to go each year and fail. I failed every year terribly and miserably. But the first year there, I was attacked by a teacher. The second year, I was absolutely bashed and horrifically hurt by a teacher. And the third year, I was attacked again by a teacher. So 3 teachers in all.
And nothing was done?
Nothing was done. I ran away from home and school.
Yeah.
Lived on the streets. And I protested and yelled and screamed and kicked, but nothing was done. But I always did that. I never gave up. I always said what had happened to me, and I didn't care what was to come. Then on the streets, I was. It's incredible how things happen. But I was arrested for demanding property with menaces. A cigarette. I didn't smoke. I was just being an asshole. I was a kid. I was 16, nearly 17. And I'm in a pub called Fisherman's Wharf, a huge pub, you know, on the Gold Coast. Everyone raves, goes there, you know, big bands. And here's me, I rob a bloke of a cigarette. And I gave it to a mate that smoked. And it wasn't even a mate, really, just a bloke I knew.
Yeah.
And, he was a cop.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it all went to shit. And I was arrested for demanding property with menaces. First it was burglary, and then they dropped it to demanding property with menaces. Now, there was 3 of us that were caught for this because I handed them the smoke and they were going off at the bloke and being smart asses. And we all were. We were all the same age, 16. What I didn't know is the 2 guys that I got arrested with were wanted for armed robbery with guns.
Oh, fuck.
And because I was arrested with them.
They thought you were with them.
Of course.
Wow.
So, it turned to shit real fast. And, went to court, and then my solicitor said, you don't want to turn up to court, mate. Not with these 2. If you run, you're going to get 3 months in jail automatic for not turning up. But it's better than standing between these 2.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you do? And I'm 16, 17. I'm like, I'm running.
Yeah.
So I did. And then I got caught and got the 3 months.
Yeah.
I got 3 months for that. Then I got 6 months for the actual offence. But the magistrate said at the start, where do you live? And I said, on the street. So you've got to go to jail. You'll get a roof over your head, 3 meals a day, and you'll be looked after. And I'm 17, just turned.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and the other 2 blokes, they got 8 years.
So it's good that you didn't turn up with them.
Very good that I didn't turn up with them. But at the same time, I was jailed basically for not having a place to stay. And of course, I did the wrong thing. You know, I was being a smart ass, but it wasn't, I didn't rob anybody. You know, it wasn't violent or anything. But you know what? They always say, you never get caught for what you've actually done in life. You always get caught for something else. And you keep those other things way back in the closet. You know what I mean?
So all this is going on,
Yep.
and your family still don't come out to reach out to you, to help you or nothing?
No, I never see them again. That's
it, that was it
I
then?
don't see them. No. This is where,
even no family, even no grandparents, no
one.
no aunties,
No one.
You're just abandoned straight away.
Abandoned, yeah. And the beautiful part about that, between being abused by my grandfather and being abused at school,
Yeah.
and I'm living on the streets, I got to a place in my life where I needed to be around kids. I needed to be, with people my own age and enjoy life. As a street kid, I just wanted to be around kids, and that was just the way it was. And I stole a school uniform and I jumped the back fence of the school on the Gold Coast called Southport State High School.
Yeah.
And I go there, I jump the fence, I walk in and I say to a couple of kids, "Oh, where's year 11? They said, "Oh, that's it over there. We'll take you there. I'm in year 11. Come with me." I'll go with them. I walk up to the classroom. I walk into the classroom. The teacher comes over and says, "Oh, new student." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Great, no worries. Take a seat over there." So I walk in, I take a seat. And the girl behind me, blonde hair, green eyes, she goes, "I'm going to marry him one day," to her friend, and I'm like, I heard this, fucking 42 years later, we're still together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So she did. Yeah. So she was with me through that whole process. So she was 15. I was 16, living on the streets, and she, we were together since. And
so how did that, like, did she know that you were living on the streets?
Yeah. Yep.
And how did that affect her? Like, what knowing that she had a home, you didn't, you couldn't, what was that?
It was. She used to leave the window open and let me jump in. Her mum and dad knew. I mean, they had to know. You know. But she'd let me in, and she'd provide for me. I mean, she was 15, 16. She'd just provide for me. It was crazy, and I did. Like they say, you can do a million jobs but never get ahead.
Yeah.
And I was always the person that would try anything, do anything, but I couldn't work for any bastard. I don't know what, it was obviously the ADHD and everything else that was going on and the abuse. I just couldn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Even today I have trust issues, But I found it very hard and I wouldn't go on welfare. And I think that's mainly because my whole family were on welfare.
Okay.
And I hated the way they lived. I'm never going to do that. And when my mum's a horrific gambler and I won't gamble. I wouldn't go near it. So I don't do any of that shit, And, but she, I don't know why the fuck she stayed. I really don't. But she saw a broken boy and she fixed him. She really did. She helped out and she saved my life on many occasions.
Describe a day or night for you on the streets. Like, where were you living? Where were you staying? How would you get food if it wasn't for her? Like, how would you go about it?
I wasn't the average street kid.
No?
Honestly, no way. No, I slept in shopping centres. I actually made myself little beds in the carousels where the women, back in the 80s.
Yeah.
You'd walk in and the women would get clothes and I'd make myself a little bed in there.
Yeah.
And I'd stay in there. Now, there was no, like, night vision cameras or anything like that back then.
Yeah.
So I could stay in those places. And I'd eat the goods from the store, and I would never steal too much. And what I would steal was food, only food. So I did that. I found, by pure accident, I don't know how it happens with me, but it's like opportunity. A lot of people just let opportunity pass them by. I can't. And I'm sitting on a wall in Surfers Paradise opposite the Chevron Hotel. And I'm just sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going today? Then I see this guy come out of the Chevron Hotel of an alley and he pulls a brick out of the wall and he puts something in there, puts the brick back and takes off. Now I'm pretending not to look and, I'm like, what the fuck was going on there? Anyway, after he'd gone half an hour, I go down there, I pull the brick out, it's a set of keys. Now, behind the Chevron Hotel, just under it, is a bowling alley.
Oh, yeah.
They were the keys to the bowling alley. So I'd go in there and I'd sleep in there. And I'd drink the soft drink and I'd have the bowling alley to myself.
Oh, shit.
And it was connected to an ice cream shop. And on the other side was a little tricky store called Tricky Dickies, which was like a novelty store.
Yeah.
I had access to all these places. And what I did is I found the perfect place for me to hide in there when it was open. And there were certain places in there that were great too. I could sleep, I could escape to. I even got the key cut, and I did everything I could to make sure that no one knew. And lo and behold, someone broke in there one night I was there and they ravaged the place. So they got whole new doors. Oh, so the key didn't work again.
Bloody hell.
But that's what I did for. And the other thing I stayed at, there was a shopping centre called Sundale Shopping Centre and had a cinema. I used to sleep in the cinema. I'd crawl under the seats. They'd come and take all the popcorn and sweep. I'd be under the seats so you couldn't see me. And they'd be sweeping, cleaning and all, and they'd fuck off. I'd sleep there. I wouldn't have a problem until I realised how many mice and rats come into the cinema.
Oh, God.
And, scared the shit out of me. Yeah, it really did. Scared.
Wow.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
But I did that for years. Lived off and on the streets in certain places. And then my girlfriend, she turned 16 and I stole a unit, an actual unit in Labrador. So there was a sign, it said for rent, this unit. I took the sign, ditched it, broke into the unit, it was furnished, and the bloke next door come and saw me and he goes, "Oh, you took the unit, mate?" I said, "Yes, I did." And he goes, "Oh, come down, I'll show you how to turn the power on." "Thanks very much."
Oh, fuck it.
So he turns the power on for me. We go back upstairs. He said, "Did you rent it through LJ Hooker on Brisbane Road there?" I said, "I did." He goes, "The lady's leaving next week." I said, "Oh, that's a shame." "Yeah, her parents died." I said, "Oh, it's terrible. Where's she? Back to England." "Oh, okay." A bloke comes over 3 weeks after I've moved in. I'm in there for 3 weeks. And I've told Lara, my wife now, my girlfriend, that I've got this unit. Come over, come and stay, have a great time. So her and I lived a happy little life in this unit that I stole. And this bloke comes over from LJ Hooker.
Yeah.
"No, mate, I rented this off Dana from LJ Hooker a few weeks ago now, a month ago." And he goes, "Oh, bullshit. She's gone back to England." I said, "She got all the paperwork." "Oh, man, she didn't register it." "Oh, what can I say? I'll get back to you." 2 months go by. I'm in that unit for like nearly 3 months tops. Lara and I, and then all of a sudden, police on the door. And I said, "Listen, mate, get out. Not going to arrest you, just get out and fuck off." I'm like, "What?" And they said, "You stole a unit." Like, how do we even write that up? So Lara was shocked because I was shitting myself because Lara's there. I'm thinking, I just got her in trouble. And she was really upset. And I said, "Look, we can't hang around. I'm no good for you, And she's like, "No, you've got to be a better person. You can't keep doing this, So I just kept trying until, I rented a caravan and then from there a house and a unit and just kept trying and battling. And then, I ended up going in and out of jail. And then she got pregnant and she'd take the train from the Gold Coast, from a bus from the Gold Coast to Brisbane and a train from Brisbane to Boggo Road with a newborn baby to visit me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Beautiful and heartwarming, but hurtful. In a way, you know what it's like. You're sitting in jail and you don't know if you want the visit because it hurts so much. And then all of a sudden, you get used to the visits and when they don't turn up, you're gutted.
Yeah.
And then this one time she turned up without our son Joshua and it was a struggle for her. And I didn't mind because it was all about her, at this stage. And as she's leaving, this screw come up to me and he goes, "Nice girl you got there. I'm going to go and ask her out. I might even take her home and give her a good fuck." I couldn't control myself. I gave him a hiding and then I was just, mate, I was thrown in solitary.
Did she see that as she left or she didn't get it?
No. But it was a trigger. And
did you tell her what happened eventually?
Years later.
Years later,
yeah. I didn't want to, I didn't go there because there's a lot of things that happen in jail that she's now finding out.
Yeah.
Or she's read the book or she's heard things, you know, and she goes, holy shit, Bill, you know. But it was, you know, you get some people on podcasts that they talk about prison as, you know, I was this and it was great and I was hard and I was fucking scared.
Yeah.
I fucking cried. And I was 17.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a nice place to be, and I wasn't a hard prick or anything like that. Yeah, I learned how to fight on the streets and in jail, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It did not matter. I met a guy that was 5'4", skinny as a rake, and the scariest I've ever met in my life. You know, I was in there for murdering people and this and that, and he was just evil and hard as a nail. And yet, I stood toe-to-toe with a 7'1" giant, you know, Nathan Jones. You know, so, you know, some of the people there, you think
I think the
to
worst
yourself,
time in jail is when overnight, because when the door's shut on you, and then you know that you're just in a 4x4, and there's nothing else.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. Some people big note it and think, it's not nice to have your whole freedom and your dignity taken away. It's just something that once you come out, you go, never again. Yeah. Never fucking again, you know. And when I left that place, I left my shoes there at the front gate. Yeah. You know, and even the screws could come back and get your shoes. I said, no fucking way. They brought me in here. They ain't bringing me back. Yeah. And I just kept walking. So, you know, it was... Who
do you think gave you the hardest time in there? Do you think it was the screws or the inmates?
Back then, see, the 80s, I guess when I was in prison, it was the end of what you'd probably call the convict era of prisons. Yeah. It was really bad. So all prisoners were sort of treated the same by the screws and that. Yeah. But back then you had to salute them as well. You had to stand on a yellow line. You had to salute them.
Really?
Anytime you spoke to them, you had to salute them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was really harsh and really demeaning. And I've got to say that the prisoners themselves were pretty cool because I got to know a lot of them. They were fucking plumbers, electricians, tradies. They were just normal people. They just fucked up once or twice, you know, and they fucked up. And they're eager to get out to their families. Yeah. You know. So I was never in harm in a big way. And it wasn't until a couple of the prisoners come up to me and they said, hey, you, come over here. And I walk over to the gate and they say, you shouldn't be in there. And I'm like, in where? I'm in jail. And they go, you can't be in this yard. And I'm like, what do you mean? That's the boneyard. And I'm like, what's a boneyard? That's protection. I don't know what you mean. I'm 17. What the fuck are you talking about? They go, they put you in here because you're 17. See all those people over there? They've abused and killed children. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would they put me in here with that if they know what's happened to me? And I don't. They said, we'll get you out. So they call the screw over. Before you come out, though, see that guy there and that guy there? Go kick the fuck out of them, both. And if you don't, you'll be right. What? That's what's going to happen. Who are they? I wanted to know. You know, it's just something I wanted to know, you know, and it wasn't a case of I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't going to get raped either. Yeah. And one was a pedophile cop and the other was the bloke that killed the young schoolgirl, Shani King.
Oh, okay.
And, I went mental on him. And I remember having blood all over me. It wasn't my blood, but blood all over me. And I looked at the gates and I said, are you happy now? Is that what you wanted? And both the prisoners just went, fuck. No, we didn't. No. And they walked away and the screw came over and got me out and said, you can't be in there with them. Well, no shit. So, I was taken out and put in the mainstream. But even then, I have this ability to create stuff. And I created my own job in jail. I created a job called The Runner. And I'd run around the prison delivering messages. And the screws would allow this because they keep an eye on me. I was a young kid.
Yeah.
And I was able to go from jail to jail and to yard and deliver messages only.
Yeah.
Tell Ted, I'll be at the gym tomorrow, or, no worries.
Yeah.
Put this in your mouth and take it to so-and-so. What? Yeah, take this. And if you get caught, swallow it. I'd be having drugs. Oh, seriously. It was a job I created, and I was there for a fair while, and I liked the job until the screws stop you and you have to swallow what's in your mouth. Right. The shit that was going around jail, and I woke up in hospital once. I was like, what happened? They said, yo, dude, I don't take drugs. You did that day? Fuck. Sorry. Yeah.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Going back just before, like, because I read up on something, is it true that you went back to the school to kill some teachers?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Certain teachers or just teachers?
It was certain teachers. I had this revenge thing that I just couldn't get rid of. And in the 80s, access to guns was very easy.
Yeah.
My mate had them in his truck. He used to drive around, in the truck. And we were 16, and he was in year 12, I think, still going to school and had the guns in the truck.
Wow.
So, it wasn't a big thing. It was just something that was normal. There's a clock tower at the Southport School, TSS, otherwise known, a boys' school on the Gold Coast. And, I stole my mate's father's gun. And, my whole intention was to shoot and kill 3 teachers and the headmaster.
So they were the teachers who abused you?
Yeah, that was my whole intention.
And what stopped it? Did you get caught before it?
Or? No, I never got caught.
So what stopped you from doing it?
The first thing I've got to be honest with you, the first thing that stopped me were the tears. I couldn't see. Yeah, seriously, I was just bawling. Because I knew I was going to die that day. That was the day I was going to die.
Oh, so you were going to actually kill me and kill yourself?
Yeah, I knew it was my last day.
Wow.
It was the ultimate day. And I'd tried previously to do it.
Yeah.
I was going to jump off a building. I've done a few little things, and that was my ultimate. I was going to do that. And, I never told Lara what I was intending to do, obviously. But she knew something was happening. And she said, look, I love you. We're going to, just think of me all the time. Anything goes wrong, think of me. And that was always in my head.
Yeah.
She always said, just think of me, take a deep breath, think of me, and then reevaluate. And I'm like, and she always, from the day we met, she said, you got potential. And I'm like, potential? I got nothing. I have nothing. I had potential, so I just didn't know it back then. The tears was the first thing. The second thing is all I could see was kids. I didn't see a teacher. It wasn't a position for me to shoot a teacher. There was no teachers. There was parents. There was a tennis court with kids on it, and there was a church. But there was no actual teachers.
Yeah.
And something just hit me, and I just went, no, and I was bawling. I remember, it's funny, exactly what you're wearing and what you did, and I had the gun up my leg and up under my arm, and I'm walking out, and I threw it in the river at the school, and I left, and I just, man, it was horrendous day. It was a day that I didn't think I was going to survive. I did think immediately of just running into traffic and doing all these bizarre things, And instead, I got to a phone box and I phoned Lara. She was at home, and I phoned her. And
do you still? I'll ask you this: do you still regret that day that you didn't go through with it?
No, it's not.
Or you found out that you know what? I'm glad that didn't happen now.
Yeah, I'm very glad it didn't happen. Now, when I look back at it, at the time, I used to I hated looking at myself in the mirror because I was, you weak prick, you disgust me, and that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And then, it started to evolve. who am I to take a life anyway? You know what I mean? And then I thought.
But then again, I look at it too as like, you can look at that, and I know taking a life is bad, but then I look at it like, well, that teacher did that to me for so many years.
Yeah.
And got away with it.
Well, they did up until a point.
Yeah.
I tracked them down later on in life, and I got each one of them.
Oh, you did get each one of them?
Yeah, I got them all back. Yep. And I got the church and the school back in 2023, only 3 years ago. They finally, after 40 years, came to the table and said, sorry, here's a payout. And I said, I don't want your payout. And they said, well, you know, and my lawyer said, you've got to take the payout. It's, you know, that's the way it is. So I accepted the payout. I accepted the apology on paper.
Yep.
But prior to that, yeah, I did. I tracked each one of them down. I tracked every person that ever abused me, every person that ever crossed me, I tracked down. And every person I ever stole off, I tried my hardest to pay back, even up until...
Even if they didn't know that you stole from them?
Yeah.
Really?
Even recently. Recently, I paid a lady $5,000 because I stole it off her husband when we were 16 years of age.
What the fuck?
Well, yeah, it's something that I always said I'd do in life is pay back.
So you've gone up to somebody and said, I stole 5,000 from you, but you don't know that, but I want to pay you back.
This is how it worked. On social media, I saw this name come up, say Brian Lumsden, and I went, I wonder if that's a friend of mine, Anthony Lumsden's, you know, kin.
Yeah.
I reached out and he goes, oh, that was my father. I said, how old are you? And he goes, 34. I said, have you got any siblings? Yeah, I've got a brother and sister. I said, where's your dad? Can I speak to your dad? Like, you know, can you get in touch? And he said, sorry, Dad died of brain cancer 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I said, oh, fuck. I said, how about your mum? Yeah, she's still alive on Gold Coast. We're all happy. Everything's okay. Were you a friend of my dad's? Yeah, I was. I said, but I stole $5,000 off him. And they said, no. I said, yeah, I did. Out of his bank account. I said, I hacked into the banking system when the ATMs first came out.
Yeah.
And this guy goes, oh, bullshit. Is your name Robbo? Are you Robbo? And I said, yeah, I was.
Yeah.
My dad told us this story for years about someone that was able to hack into bank accounts and it wiped out his account. $5,000 back then,
Yeah,
a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Lot of money.
Yeah.
And you got arrested by the police, didn't you? I said, I did. But you got let off. I said, I did. Because they didn't know how you did it. And I said, exactly. And I won't expose how I did it today. And they said, holy shit. And I said, I'd like to pay the $5,000 back, you know. And he goes, no. I said, yeah. He says, no, we don't want it. We don't need it. I said, it's not a matter of that. I said, can you send me your mum's bank details or your detail, anybody's details in the family, you know, and they did. And I paid him back. And I was pissed off with myself because I didn't find him and he was one of the last on the list.
Did you get to talk to his wife?
No, but we had a footy reunion just recently and a couple of people there are still mates with the wife and the family. And one of them come up to me and said, man, can't believe what you did. I said, what, stealing it or repaying it? And he said, both. He said, but repaying it. He said, man, who does that? And I said, it's just something I had to do. They were basically the last on my list. So I had to pay them back.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was last year. Yeah. Paid them back. And everybody I think that I've taken from, that I know of.
Well, you're going through everybody.
Tried to, yeah. Yeah. As many people as I know I've hurt, yeah. Yeah, try to resolve that.
Wow. That's insane.
I know, people say that, but for me, in my own cleansing and everything that I've gone through and that, I felt as though I've hurt so many people, you know, I had to pay it back for myself. Not for any other reason, but just for me, for closure. I had to close a book, a chapter. Mm.
Wow. Okay. Fuck, I didn't know that.
No, not many people do.
Jesus Christ, like that is really insane.
Mm. Yeah, I get how you think that, but for me personally, You know, there's a lot of things that have happened in my life where they've been mind-blowing, like for instance, Boggo Road. I'm in a cell in Boggo Road and the screw comes up to me and he says, I didn't know about my old man then. I was just 17, right?
Yeah.
So I'd been searching, but nothing. I got told he was dead. My family told me he was dead for years.
Yeah.
And this screw comes up to me and he goes, Billy Edgar, you know your old man was in this cell? I said, what? I said, your old man was in this cell, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. I said, no, I didn't know. I said, yeah, he was in here. I said, oh, yeah. He said, you know the two blokes that blew up the Whiskey A Go-Go and killed all those people? I said, yeah. Your old man beat the fuck out of him and bit the finger off Finch. So that story going around about Finch cutting his own finger off, and then, no, your old man bit his finger off. I said, no, I didn't know any of that. He said, oh, yeah, and your old man was sent up to Queensland to extort nightclubs for money, but what your old man didn't know is that they were already being extorted by the Queensland Police Force, detectives.
Wow.
I said, okay. So, you know, little things like that happen, and that shocked me when I learnt more about the old man.
Yeah. And
then I went, no, I don't want to be like him either. So he was a hard cunt and everything else and an Irishman and, you know, but I didn't want to be like that.
When was the last time you actually seen your dad? Like what? How old were you?
Oh, look, I believe I was probably 9 or 10.
Yeah.
The last time I actually, and he came to the school just to look at me.
Yeah.
Like there was no interaction really.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was nothing really there.
Wow.
You know, and then he worked for some terrible people and did some terrible things. You know, the painters and dockers in Victoria and the, you know, clubs in Sydney and going in and out of jail. He was a boxer. He was a pretty well-known boxer as well, but he was a southpaw back then, you know, an Irish angry southpaw.
Yeah.
You know? He wasn't going to make it too far.
So, okay. So now you're out of jail. What was your intention to do once you got out of jail?
Oh, to become a better person, become a better man, and to really, really work hard and do what I could to provide for Lara and our baby. Yeah. That was the ultimate. That's all I wanted to do. And every step forward, 2 steps back, you know, and not with the law. I never got in trouble with the law again. It was more trying to get a job, trying to hold the job. But getting a job wasn't hard because I could walk the streets and just drop in anywhere. Do you need work? You know, and I'd get work. But it was just holding the job. And it wasn't until I was 22. Lara's pregnant again. We have a little girl. And, you know, I get this big issue in my life where Lara's now got 2 kids. I'm not providing like I should be. And she leaves me. I come home one day from a off-site job that I've been doing and the place is empty. And Lara left me. She went to Cairns. That's where her dad lived. And of course you're angry, you're upset, but at the same time I'm thinking I wasn't providing. I wasn't doing anything, you know. She needed to do that.
Yeah.
You know, she needed to look after the kids. So she went up there and I stayed here and I got into security, you know, and I'd been in jail, I knew how to fight and everything else. And there was an opening of a new pub called the Parkwood Tavern. You know, it was the first night, big opening, and they were looking for security. And I just happened to walk in and said, look, you know, I can do security. And they said, oh, great, you can work. Yeah, no worries, I'm there. And they said, oh, wow, that was a great night. Can you come back tomorrow night? And that became a regular thing. And one of the guys there said, I'm a furniture removalist bloke. You can work with us during the day and here at night. Beautiful. So I was starting to work and I got myself a caravan, my own caravan. And I was doing well. I was doing hard. And I was sending money to Lara for once. Finally, I could do something. And then I get a phone call in the caravan. We had the old phone, you know, and my son on the phone, he's 4 or 5 years old, and he says, Daddy, come home. And I said, oh, mate. And then Lara's in the background going, please come home. And I went, sure? Serious? She goes, yeah, come home. Fuck. So I dropped everything. And I'm heading to Cairns. I bought no, seriously, there's a Labrador Auto Wreckers on Brisbane Road.
Yeah.
I walk in there and there's an old Chrysler for $500. And I said to the bloke, mate, I've got $350. He says, it's yours. Not registered. If it breaks down, don't give a fuck. It's yours.
Yeah.
I said, I'm taking it. $350. Stole some number plates from the caravan
You
park.
stole some number plates.
I know. How? Stole some number plates, put them on the car, jump in, and I drive to Cairns. I've got enough money for fuel and that to get to Cairns because I've saved up. You know, I'm loaded. $800.
Yeah.
You know, loaded. Oh man! And driving to Cairns, and I'm just before Cairns at a place called Mission Beach, around that area. Stop at this all-night servo, one of a few, and this guy's there, and he goes, "Where are you heading?" I said, "Cairns." He said, "You look fucking tired." I said, "I am." He goes, "I'll make a coffee for you." I said, "Okay," because they didn't have those little coffee machines. You know? So he made a coffee for me. We're talking, and he goes, "What are you going to do in Cairns?" I said, "Security." Mate, if you're going to do security, you've got to work at the Playpen International Nightclub. And I'm like, "What's that?" And he said, "The biggest nightclub in Cairns, the Southern Hemisphere. It's got all the bands. It's the best." He said, "You've got to go and work there." So I'm like, "Yeah, all right. So good. Thanks for the vibes. See you later. Take care." I head to Cairns, reunite with Lara and the kids. Best moment of my life.
Yeah.
Happy as. We go into a Holiday Inn, we get a nice little unit, and we stay there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But that first night, I said to Lara, "I'm going out, I'll be back soon." And she's like, "Where are you going? What's happening?" And I said, "Look, trust me, I'm And it's about 6:30 at night, right? And I find this Playpen International, and it's got all the lights, the bells and whistles, the neon signs. It's fucking beautiful club, But this ladder from here to it'd have to be 30, 40 feet high.
Yeah.
And the guy up there is changing the light globes because the light globes go right around this area, And the bloke holding the ladder is a huge bloke. He's on gear and he's standing there and he's holding the ladder. And I pull up and it's before opening time, And I said, "G'day, mate, how are you?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm looking for a job." And he goes, "No jobs here." And I said, "I'm pretty sure they need a doorman." I was being a smart ass. And he goes, "No jobs here, mate." And I said, "Oh, can I at least talk to the manager or the owner?" I said, "Could be a glassy, or it could be anything, but security's the field I want to go to."
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "No, mate." And I said, "Well, who are you, mate, up on the ladder?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, I'm the boss." I said, "You're the boss?" And he goes, Yeah, I'm the boss." I said, "You're up there, you're the boss, and he's down here holding the ladder." And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "I need a job." He says, "There's no jobs, mate." I said, "All right." I said, "This is the options. I knock this cunt out, you fall and die." And he goes, "What?" I said, "I knock him out and don't take away from the ladder, mate. He'll die. You come away from that ladder, he dies. So you got to stay there and hold that ladder." And he's looking at me with rage, and he's going, and he knows he can't leave the ladder.
Yeah.
And the boss up there is going, "Don't let go of the ladder," and he's sweating.
Yeah.
And then he looks down and he says, "Can you have a white shirt, collar, and be here at 7:30?" I said, "Yeah, mate." He goes, "No worries, I'll see you then."
That's how you got your job.
That's how I got it. Yeah.
What? Who's the big guy holding the ladder? Was he a doorman?
Yeah, he was a doorman. His name was Jeffrey, and he was a bikey type bloke.
Yeah.
And I turned up at 7:30. He was the first person to greet me on the door.
Yeah.
And he said, "You got some fucking nerve, mate." And I said, "I don't give a fuck what you think, mate. I got a family to feed." And he goes, "I don't give a fuck." I said, "You will when I start working here." And he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I said, "Doesn't matter, mate." He took off his shirt and his little number and he threw it on the ground at the boss and said, "You can fuck this job," and walked off and went and worked for another club down the road. And the boss said, "I hope you're a good doorman." I said, "So do I." 8 years later, I was a doorman on that for 8 years. 6 years doorman, and then they gave me the job as manager in the club for a couple of years.
Shit.
Yeah, it was great. And it was really good because I was providing again, and it was really a stepping stone. And it wasn't until the owner of the club come in and he said, "Hey, Bill, you're not a doorman." He says, "I don't know you from a bar of soap, and I've seen you a few times.
Yeah.
I don't come to the club much, but what I've seen of you, you're a manager. You're a boss. You can't do this." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And he trained me and helped me, and it was, mate,
Wow.
yeah.
So how long did you do that for? 8 years on that door?
8 years I was on the door of the Playpen International, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 91 to 2000.
No major trouble on that?
Oh, yeah, we had lots of trouble, but but it was the only...
Were you a talker or a brawler?
I could do both, but I was a very good talker.
Yeah.
We had to wear mouth guards. It was the only nightclub I'd ever worked in where you had to wear a mouth guard.
Yeah.
It was very violent because we had an Aboriginal pub across the road.
Yeah.
And they were very, very toxic and angry.
Yeah.
You know. And funny enough, there was a big brawl on the second week I was there. It was massive. And I'm hoeing in and everyone's hoeing in. And then all of a sudden, the guards shut the doors. The other bouncers shut the doors and leave me out there with like these black fellas. And I'm just swinging and I'm looking at the door and they're shutting it. And I'm like,
and they're inside?
And they've gone inside. And I'm on Pat Malone and I'm thinking, what? All of a sudden, this paddy wagon comes around the corner. Sirens blazing and everything stops. But they're going off still.
Yeah.
And the one thing that drunk people, Aboriginals, people, doesn't matter who you are, hate is an angry dog. And it was the dog squad.
Oh, yeah.
And he lets the dog out the back. And the dog went nut and everyone just split.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing there. I've got claret all over me. And this bloke comes over and he's a constable, senior constable, and he goes, "You all right?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "They shut the door." He goes, "Yeah, that's their policy." "Yeah, but not to leave the doorman outside, is it?" He goes, "Not usually." I said, "What the fuck?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "Look, my name's Doug." I said, "I'm Bill." He said, "Nice to meet you." And to this day, we're still friends.
Wow.
And it's been, just one of those things. But that was the stepping stone to becoming a better person.
So after that, what was your adventure then? Was it then you got into debt collecting, or how did you?
Yeah.
What made you go into that?
It was legal debt collecting. So what happened is I'd done a couple of jobs where I was doing...
While you were on the door? Work?
No.
Did people ask you to do stuff like that?
Well, yeah, no, it wasn't that. I was getting into bodyguarding work on the door.
Yeah.
So I was looking after... Jimmy Barnes and people like that who come up to Cairns. I was looking after them, which was really cool. And I enjoyed that. But our kids were getting older and we didn't like the school system in Cairns.
Yeah.
And we wanted to come back home to the Gold Coast. So eventually we came back to the Gold Coast, put the kids in a good school.
Yeah.
And I saw a mate of mine who was a tree lopper and he used to climb with spurs on all the way up. I used to love doing that and looking at it and go, "Oh, that's cool." And he said, "You want a job?" And I said, yeah, for sure. I'll come and help. So I started doing that. And I did that for a while. And then I got into, labouring jobs to try and get more money.
Yeah.
And then one day I'm sitting at the kitchen table and I'm reading the paper. Back then, I'm just reading the paper. And there was a section there and it said, there's new policies for debt collecting. No longer do you get to beat people up for money and it's all legit and it's this and that, So I give this guy a call and I say, "Hey, mate, what's this about?" And he tells me, "Come in." So I go in and meet him, have a look. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And the wage wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I said, "Laura, I'm going to work in an office." She goes, "Yeah, right." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to give it a go." And so I worked in debt collecting for, it only lasted 6 weeks. And the reason being is that people were phoning in and saying, "Look, I don't owe this debt." And I'm going, "Yeah, you do. You owe this," because it's all on the computer and it says you owe it. And then me and my background, I look into things and I started looking into these debts that were sold by the banks to debt collection companies.
Yeah.
Then I found the banks were getting the insurance money as well. So if they're underwriting the debt can't be sold.
Yeah.
But it was. So I went to the boss and he said, "Shut up. You can't say shit about that. That's none of your business. Fuck off, you're sacked."
Oh, shit.
I said, "Oh, okay." So I started up a company called Freedom from Debt Collectors and I went against them. And I said, "Those debts are all false. They're fake." And the bank system says, no, you can't do that. You're going to ASIC. We're reporting you." So I get dragged into ASIC. ASIC said, "You can't do that." And I showed them what I did and they said, "Oh, yes, you can." Yeah, that's a can of worms. We're not going to investigate that. You have a good day. See you later. Okay. So I continue what I'm doing. Yeah, by all means. Just don't cross the line. And get yourself something that says you're a financial advisor or something.
Yeah.
So I looked into all that and I went, no. And then there was this bloke that said to me, "You got to be a PI if you're going to investigate stuff." I've been in jail. I'm not going to be a PI. They're not going to allow me to be a PI.
Yeah.
So I fill out all the paperwork, do the course, go through the system, and they said no. And then I said, look, I haven't been in trouble with the law since 1986 when I first got caught. I never even spoke to a cop since.
Yeah.
I haven't been in trouble. We could do a probationary thing. That'd help. Let's do that. And they said, okay, we'll do that. And it would be 4 months before you get your license, your probationary license. Yeah, no worries. And 4 weeks later, I had my full license.
Wow.
No probation, no nothing. I went, someone up. Happy days. So, yeah, I became a PI, and I've been a PI since 2008, 9.
So that being the PI, is that looking at major companies, big companies?
Banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was looking at the banks, the financial institutions, and looking at debt collectors and debt consolidators and how they all work and how it was all fraudulent, and people were getting targeted for debts. And then I found that a $50,000 debt can get sold for as little as $200.
Wow.
And the person that bought it has the rights to go after you for that $50,000 plus the $200.
Wow.
Yeah. And I found that to be fraudulent. And so each case I did, the banks ended up withdrawing the debt, saying, oh, we're sorry, we sold that debt in error. They take it back. My client gets to walk away free. But that's the only way it can be done, is you have to prove, and you have to use the system.
Yeah.
And that's something I do. I use the system. So I was doing that for a little while, in debt collection. And then I didn't like doing that. It was nice helping people, but it was getting mundane and it was templated. So I'd just send out forms.
Yeah.
And I was getting bored. And then I saw that there was an AGM meeting of all these resort owners, and I come up with this bright idea again. And I walked into this general manager's fucking conference from the biggest hotels around the world. And I was giving them my private investigator cars. And they go, what do you do, mate? I said, I go in and I infiltrate the staff. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, you hire me as security, kitchen hand or a cleaner, and I'll tell you who's stealing and who's saying what and who's demeaning your business. That sounds like a good idea. How long do you take? 6 weeks. How much do you charge? 10 grand. Okay. Yeah. Get us a contract and we'll start you in a couple of weeks. Okay. So that was the new venture. And from then I've been going into these hotels and that, impersonating a cleaner, a cook.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So I have these contracts where I go in and I infiltrate staff and I find out who's stealing what from hotels and who's doing certain things. And
still you do that now?
You can still do it today.
Wow, what a job that is.
That is the job. Yeah, that's the bread and butter.
That is a cool job.
Yeah.
So so for the last one, what did you have to be to go into the hotel? What did you be like?
The last time I went in, I was a kitchen hand. Kind of a job. You know how many dishes you have to wash when all the shit comes? It's a big
no one
job.
Questions you, like coming in new?
No, because what happens is I start off as just as a grunt. You know what I mean? I'm just washing dishes, and then 3 weeks into the job, right, I'm saying to staff, this job's fucked. The staff are shit. The manager's a prick, and they all start to agree. And then they go, yeah, he's a prick and this and that. And then I go, I'm so hungry. You hungry? Come with us. I'll show you how to get food. Okay. So they show me how to get food. And if you want to take some sheets home, we'll show you how to do that. Oh, beautiful.
Slowly.
And then the security will be going, if you want some alcohol, make sure you fill it back up with water or Coke. Okay, no worries. So I was getting all this intel and all this info. And the worst thing about that job is that you become close to a couple of those people.
Yeah.
They're nice people.
But then you're going to
You're going to do them over.
Yeah.
And you feel like a bit of a dog. But at the same time, I've got a job to do.
Yeah.
And not only are they getting paid to do their job, they're screwing other people's jobs by stealing from them.
Yeah.
And these people are letting innocent people take the fall for it. And especially the security was saying, no, I bet it's the cleaner. She's from Korea. She's a real big. And I know that girl from Korea, and she wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Yet they put some shit in a pillowcase, tie it with her level on, and drop it down the chute and leave it in a bin. And then they find it. Oh, look what we found. So she'd get her ass out.
Bloody hell.
So I didn't care about them again. And that's why I really have no care or concern for the people around me when it's like that.
So no one's ever sussed you out to be, oh, you look a bit sussy.
One or two people have, but they sort of let it go. One was a cleaner. She was great. She actually found out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She said to me, she said, you can't. You're not a cleaner. She said, you're someone else, something else. She said, did the company put you in here to spy on us?
Yeah.
And I said, no. What makes you say that? She goes, I got an inkling that something's going on. And it wasn't until, I don't know, I was about 5 weeks in, and we're sitting there. It was a graveyard shift, about 2:30 in the morning. And she said to me, look, I've got to take some ironing home, right? So I'm doing it legitimately, Bill. And I'd be like, why are you talking like that? She go, I know something's going on, and I just want to make sure, just in case there's cameras or something in here. And I came clean with her.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. And it was the first and only person I ever did, and she kept her word, and she didn't say a word, and she was great.
Wow.
Really nice lady. And she had, 2 kids, and she was getting over by other people that were not doing their job, and she was very grateful to have someone like me in there infiltrating and uncovering all this shit. Even the general manager got outed because I caught him doing shit.
So you're the only one who does it? Like, you haven't got anyone who works for you?
Oh, no. I never have anybody employed for me.
So you just do
always
everything
by myself. Yeah, always. I never have. You know yourself. Most people in prison have a co-accused, and that's the reason they're in prison.
Yeah.
I do everything by myself. No one knows nothing but me.
Okay. So what's made you from having this business, which it sounds really good, then to go into the Coffin Confessor? Like, how they're totally different apart.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was investigating a job for a gentleman that had money stolen.
Yeah.
He was a wealthy bloke, and he kept trying to get me to work for him. And I said, no, I'm too busy. I'm not doing that. I'm not in that field anymore. And he said, Bill, look, I really need help. I think my accountant's stealing off me. Once he said accountant, I went, oh, yeah, I love looking at accountants. They're assholes to me. I just didn't like them. Lawyers and accountants, they're the two blood-sucking parasites I hate.
Yeah.
And I looked into it, and I did find that money was being skimmed.
Yeah.
We got the police involved, which was cool. I didn't know when I first met him that he was dying. I didn't know. He didn't seem that type of bloke to be like wallowing or anything like that. It wasn't until later on, a few weeks after, into the job, and then I was finishing the job, and he was in bed when I went to see him the last time. And I said to his wife, I said, sure, go in, and he's in bed. She goes, yeah, go in, dear, and he pats the bed and says, sit down, and I sat down. I said, you all right, mate? His name was Graham. And he said, yeah. He said, don't know if I told you. He said, I haven't got long to go. I said, no, you didn't tell me. He said, yeah, I haven't got long to go, but thanks so much. You've really helped out, and, we've got some good things happening now. And I said, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're a funny and I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah, whatever. And I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting with the guy who's dying. And then he said, I'd really like to do something when I die, for the family, or, just do something. And I said, do your own eulogy. I said, do one. And he says, you know what? I thought about that. But the family and other friends and people get to see it first. And they're the ones that decide whether it's going to be seen or not. Total joke. I was joking. Mate, Graham, if you want someone to crash your funeral for you, I'm the man, mate. What? I could crash your funeral for you. We both laugh. See you, Graham. Take care. Hope to see you again, and hope you get better. I know, it's hard, but see you. 2 weeks later, I get a text. Bill, taking you up on the offer. You're going to crash my funeral for me. Going to pay you 10 grand to do it. Come and see me. A joke. I go see him. He's written out exactly what he wants said. We go through it, puts it in an envelope, gives it to me, says you'll be paid at the end of the funeral. Okay. He says it's all set, it's all good. Make sure you're there, do the right thing. You'll be notified. Who's going to notify? You'll be notified. Okay, no worries. So I think it was like 8 weeks after that, I get this notice. Sorry, wow. Graham's passed away. His funeral's on this date. Can you go crash his funeral? Yep. I don't even know what to wear. I mean, funeral, you just wear black and that, you know, but I'm thinking, I've got to crash this funeral. What do I do? I'm going over the scenario in my head. And then I thought...
Was it awkward the first time?
Yeah, it felt awkward because I'm crashing a funeral. Who does that? Crash a wedding? Yeah. Funeral? Who does that?
Especially the reactions you got to get off people.
Exactly. And I didn't know how to take it and do it. And I said to Lara, this is what I got to do. And she went, you know what, Bill? Just do it how you would want it done. And I thought, okay. She goes, let's say you left me a message that you want me to crash your funeral and read out. How would you want it done? Do it like that. And that stayed with me. So I arrive at the funeral and I start to mingle with family and friends and associates. And we all get led into this like chapel type area, you know, and you're all seated. And I have my phone and I have the instructions 2 minutes into the eulogy.
Yeah.
Interrupt funeral. Eulogy started. Time has started. Guy up there, crocodile tears. My best mate, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I love him so much. His family, you know, mean the world to me. Excuse me. I stand up. My name's Bill Edgar. I was in the Coffin Confessor then.
Yeah.
My name's Bill Edgar. The man in the coffin's got something to say, and this is what it is. I pull out the envelope, open the letter. You're no friend of mine. Sit down, shut up, or f*** off. You've been trying to screw my wife while I'm on my deathbed. Oh. Everybody's just gone, fuck. 2 people have said, shh, let him go. We want to hear what Graham's left unsaid. As soon as I heard that, I knew people wanted to know what their best friend, family member wanted.
Did anyone turn a different way towards you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, the guy on stage,
Yeah.
he was angry. And he just left though,
yeah.
because everyone was like, what the fuck? The next thing I had to do was say, I won't tell you the name, but Louise, John and April, if you're in here, you can stand up and f*** off too. That was his brother, his sister-in-law and their daughter.
Wow.
Why? Because I haven't seen you in 30 years. Why are you here paying your respects now when you could have been paying your respects within the 30 years? Plus you owe me all that money that you never paid back, so start paying it back to the wife. That was the letter that was left, you know. When I'd finished, I didn't want to stay for the funeral anyway. Yeah. And it came into my mind that, and I was sort of stuck because I sort of stood
in between people.
Yeah. So I was sort of making my way out as I'm talking. And then I put the letter back in the envelope and put the envelope on the coffin. Made my way to the coffin, put it on the coffin, and I fucked off. Yeah. So I didn't know if the funeral was going to continue. Yeah. I had no idea. So, and that set a precedent because I never do. I just walk out. Yeah. As I got to the car, a young girl came up to me and said, your money's on the window of your car. And it was, in an envelope. I said, and she goes, it's my dad. Thank you. I said, wow. It was a privilege. The girl behind her, I thought was her friend. Yeah. So she's passed her and she said, please, please come and see my auntie. She needs you. I'm like, what?
So you got word from that?
First funeral. That's how it started.
Wow.
And it just exploded. Because that funeral, there was someone from the media there.
Okay.
And he said, mate, I'm from Britain. He says, and I've come over especially for this funeral. Could you go on Good Morning Britain? And I said, what's that? And he says, it's like Sunrise here in Australia, but it's bigger in Britain.
Yeah.
Can you go on that show for us and tell us your story? I said, yeah, okay. So I go up to the studio, Channel 10 here in Brisbane, and they do a live cross. And I'm halfway through the interview. Yeah. Emails crashed, phone crashed, everything crashed. Everything. I got 14,000 requests.
Wow.
From Britain alone, from that show. And then that was the end of it. It just went from paper to podcast to, it went nuts. I went home and saw Lara and she goes, how'd it go? How'd the second one go? I went, oh man. I said, I don't know if we're going to be able to. She goes, just deal with it. Keep it to yourself. She said, the world will get hold of this because it's such a unique, great idea. She says, but we're at our age now. We're level heads, and you've come a long way. And I really respect what she says, you know, and I really do. And I have kept it to myself, although I've said to Lara, they've just offered us like 7 figures for the right, you know, like 7 figures. She goes, do you want to go down that road? Is that what you really want? Do it. No. What do you really want? I just want to keep it. I just want to help people and do it. Well, do it. Okay. By then, we'd already got it paid out from TSS, the school and church. They'd already paid us out. So we weren't in debt with anything.
Yeah.
There was no debt. And it's not as though we needed the money.
Yeah.
But I did need to keep doing something.
Yeah.
And I have this way of paying back people and helping people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how it sort of stayed, you know, and it's been great.
Do you enjoy doing it?
Love it. Love it. Although it's transitioned so much. Like that was just funeral crashing.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden I'm going into people's houses and house sweeping them. I didn't know that was a job. So I'd go to their home. But I had no idea elderly people have a fall, get taken to hospital and get told they can't go home again.
Yeah.
So what happens to all the shit? What happens to their personal stuff? The family swoop in, the vultures.
Yes.
So they give me a call. The palliative care nurses, the doctors, they call me and they say, so-and-so's in hospital, they've had a fall, they need you to go to their place and retrieve the will, computers, phones, money. Okay, no worries. So I start doing that. So I was doing home sweeps.
So is there such a license to do this, or what is it?
I needed to, I was a PI, I'm the PI,
Yeah.
so that gave me some standing, but I needed to have evidence that they allowed me to do it. So I'd go see the client first. I'd make sure it was on video.
Yeah.
I made sure that they gave me the keys on video or showed me where to get in. I have a contract that they sign, so everything's above board. I make sure that the sound of mind, I get the doctor. So everything's done above board before I do anything. Then I go to their premises and I retrieve what they want. A lot of times they just want it destroyed.
Yeah.
And I have to video that.
Yeah.
That's where I put it in a furnace. And it could be sex toys, drugs, money, whatever. You know, if they want it gone, it goes. If they want it brought back to them, it's brought back to them. And this one occasion, the gentleman had a sex dungeon in his house. He was 88 years of age. He didn't want his 3 boys to know that he had a sex dungeon, a swingers pad and all that type of shit. He didn't want that. He was petrified. So I go in there, I took everything out, incinerated the lot, went back to him. He says, oh, thank God, Bill. Thank you so much. Here's your payment.
Is that the weirdest thing you've ever come across? Like, or what's the weirdest?
No, sex toys are the weirdest. Yeah, they're the weirdest because you think what people are into and people you have no idea. Like an elderly lady that I met, you know, and she goes, oh, can you go and get Barney from the bedroom side drawer and get rid of him? You know, I'm like, who's Barney? And she goes, you'll know when you see him.
Who's Barney? You
know, and you see Barney and you're like, what, mate, that's a big Barney.
Yeah.
You know, so you destroy it and she's happy that her sisters or family don't see that type of shit, you know. But I didn't realise that was going to be a job. Nor did I realise that I was going to go to viewings of bodies and pinprick the body because the person was petrified about being buried or burnt alive. So I had to prove that they were dead. They wanted proof that they were dead. They said, look, my biggest fear is being cremated alive. Make sure I'm dead. Well, how do I do that? Punch me, needle me, do something. Oh, what do you want? Treat my body as a pincushion. So I asked for a couple of minutes with the body, it's a good friend of mine or family member, and they give it to me.
And you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they want. That's a request.
Fucking insane.
Well, that's their request. Petrified of being buried alive. You know?
Have you ever been set upon, like, as a coffin confessor by, people in the crowd going, once you've had to tell that person or even the family members, have they set upon you? Like,
not as such. Like, there was a situation where there was some bikies, that said to me if they didn't like what they heard, I was going to go in the hole with him. But in the end, it became quite comical because the guy was a big bikie, he was a nice bloke, and he wanted to let everybody know that he was more gay than bi.
Okay.
And that his lover was a guy named Steve in the audience, and there was 5 Steves going to be there. But his lover wasn't Steve, it was actually Damien. But all these Steves were pissed off and looking at each other, and everyone's looking at all the Steves. So he did it quite a funny way, and they were pissed. But at the same time, the people that truly knew him and loved him, they come up to me and they said, fuck him. they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know. Okay, good. Yeah, and every situation, bar one, the people have said, we want to hear what our loved ones left unsaid. We want to know. And that's why we've quietened them down to let you continue. You're just the messenger. And I go, exactly, that's all I am. And there's a lot of vultures in families. And there's a lot of bad people.
How do you prove, though, that this letter came from that person? Like, is that, because I could just go, like, yeah.
Well, there's video, there's signs.
Oh, so there's a video. So
it has to be video. Everything's on video.
Before he passes away,
yes,
or the person passes away?
Yeah. I have to meet the people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can't do it. If you said to me, "Oh, my auntie's just died. Can you crash her funeral?" No. I have to be engaged by the actual person.
And get I
need the video. I need the proof
to show that she's definitely said this.
Yeah. Otherwise, I could be litigated.
Yeah.
And there's other cases where people say, "Oh, my auntie, engaged you, but you never did it.
Yeah.
You took her money." Well, there's always a money trail. I've learnt this in finance.
Yeah.
There's always a money trail. So, and I make sure that everything's on video, everything's done properly, and that I do exactly what I'm paid to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
You reckon this is the best job you've ever had of all your life?
For sure. Absolutely. It's created. Yeah, and the beauty of it is sometimes I look on the net and people tag me in things and they said, "You've really got the world talking about death in a different way now."
Yeah.
Which to me, it's such a good open thing because we're all going.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are. I don't give a fuck who you are. We're all going to die.
Yeah.
And we've got to die living. Live life and then die. Don't just sit there and don't dwell on it, but know that it's going to happen. Prepare that one day it's going to happen. And I say prepare because we had a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I've downgraded everything. We got hardly anything. We got the necessities to live and to enjoy life. But we don't have the big garage with all the shit and toys in there and stuff like that. If we want to go jet skiing, we hire them. We want to go boating, we hire it. We don't buy a boat. We don't buy a jet ski. We don't buy motorbikes and all that. I just hire them when I need them. Things like that. We're very simple, and I've learnt that because the people around me that have died and my clients, some of them have left so much shit that I walk into the house and I'm like, no one's going to want your shit that you loved. You absolutely loved. No one's going to want it. It's all going to go to waste. It's going to get stolen.
No one's left anything to you?
I don't take it.
You don't take it?
They've offered quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
But again, I don't need the bullshit coming from families.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a son not getting left anything in his will and then he finds out that the old man left me 30, 50 grand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go down that road. I don't. So if they offer it, I ask them to donate it.
Yep.
And not so much to a charity, but donate it to somebody they know that is truly in need.
And would need it more.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't need the angst or any of the bullshit that comes from the vultures. No, I won't go there.
Wow, that's an insane story. You got any regrets?
Fuck. Yeah. Regrets. Yeah, of course.
What's your biggest regret?
I guess, not doing this when I was in my 30s. No, I think my biggest regret in life would be not, obviously, I provide now, but, the previous regrets, all that. I think my biggest regret in life was blaming everybody else for what happened to me. And I've got to say, I was one of these young, hostile people that go poofter bashing, right? Gay bashing and all that. I'd do that sometimes just to get the frustration out. I was attacked by 4 married men with children. Not the gay society. So that's my biggest regret. And I'm always apologising to the gay community, saying, look, and like I know people that are gay, and I say, good on you. Not for me, but I'm not going to attack you or hurt you or misjudge you ever again. It was 4 married men that attacked me, and it was a wake-up call, and it's also a regret that I've carried, but I'm glad I carry it.
Yeah.
It's something that I just think the one thing that I guess we know, you never forget where you come from. you always remember where you come from, because that keeps you ahead
Yeah.
of never going back.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that I hold dear, is I never forget where I come from. And the closest people to you sometimes, you know, and I don't mean your wife and children, but the other friends and that, for some reason they'd rather see you fail.
Yes.
It's a true thing. They'd rather see you fail. And you know the people that don't want to see you fail are the people with hope, the plumbers, the electricians, the tradies, the strangers, the bridge builders, the office workers, all there looking and reading and hearing this story and going, there is hope for me, because hope is the best thing that anybody has ever got. The hope of winning lotto, the hope of doing something, the hope that your invention gets somewhere, the hope that you can discover something or create something like I did.
Very true.
Yes, there's hope. Yet there's family members out there or friends that you had that would rather see you fail. And I'd rather talk to those strangers, the plumbers, the Sparkies, you know, those type of people.
Yes.
Yeah. And they love hearing the story, because they're sitting there going, yeah, I got this idea. Well, fun with it. You got an idea, go for it. Life's too short.
Wow. Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Describe yourself in one word.
In one word, describe myself. Oh, mate, that's something I've never been asked. I'm pretty courageous. Yeah, I'm courageous.
But you're happy with life now, how it's gone?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, absolutely. Happy that I've been able to forgive myself and love myself.
Yeah.
Happy that I'm in the position I am today. Happy that this 15-year-old girl said she loved me when she was 15 and didn't even really know me. You know what I mean? Like, for 42 years, who does that?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, Bill. But I still can't get over you, the jobs that you've had, especially the last two. The hotel one, I love that one. I love it. I think that's got to be the best. Even though I like the Coffin Confessor, but going into places like that and like being that's cool. That's cool. But I take my hat off to you, because I've never heard someone going back to pay someone, you know, to what, you know, people that you've ripped off or you've taken stolen from, and to go back and pay. You know what I mean? That's something that I've never ever heard of in my life, and I take my hat off to you for that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, and I thank you, and I'm really humbled, and you know, it's something I just had to do it. It was just something in me. I don't know what it was. My whole life was payback. Please pay back. You got to, once you make it, pay it back. Once you get it, you know, you got to do it. You know.
But no,
So,
no. Well, thank you for coming on, mate.